Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a high-stakes, 7-day blueprint for surviving and, honestly, thriving in the 2026 San Diego real estate market. Look, if you're gearing up to sell a home out there, you already know the old playbook is dead. A fresh coat of paint and some trendy throw pillows? Yeah, that's just not going to cut it anymore. You are stepping into a heavily regulated arena now. We're talking environmental disclosures, strict climate mandates, and brand new digital transparency laws that will completely dictate your success. So here is our 7-day countdown to systematically eliminate buyer objections and maximize your property's value. We'll start with a look at the 2026 San Diego market. Then, days 1 and 2 cover legal and structural prep. Next, days 3 and 4 tackle climate and energy. After that, days 5 and 6 are all about physical optimization. And finally, day 7 tackles digital compliance.
All right, let's jump right into part 1, the 2026 San Diego market. Because before we start the clock on our 7-day prep, we absolutely have to understand the macroeconomic battlefield we're walking into.
Right now, we are seeing a totally bifurcated reality. It's wild. On one side, if you own a detached single-family home, you are sitting pretty in a strong seller's market. Buyers are just hungry for usable land, especially with that ADU, accessory dwelling unit potential. But on the flip side, if you're trying to unload an attached condominium, you are facing some severe headwinds. Demand there is slipping fast, mostly because buyers are heavily penalizing these properties for skyrocketing HOA dues and massive insurance premiums.
And you really need to keep this number in mind, 69. Because the average days on market has stretched out to 69 days, buyers have time. And when buyers have time, they get exceptionally picky. Those crazy weekend bidding wars, they've stabilized. So if you want to capture those highly selective retail buyers, or maybe the VA loan purchasers who are shifting heavily up toward North County, your property has to be absolutely flawless. Buyers are looking for reasons to say no, so don't give them one.
Moving on to part 2, days 1 and 2, legal and structural prep. Let's dive straight into the legal minefield of California's strict consumer protection framework. This first phase is all about the paperwork. Day 1 is administrative disclosures, Day 2 is structural and safety inspections, and trust me on this, you do not want to skip this step. Failing to secure these documents right out of the gate exposes you to some incredibly severe post-sale liability. We're talking fraud or breach of contract lawsuits. In California, transparency isn't just a professional courtesy, it is heavily weaponized through documentation. Miss a step here, and it will absolutely come back to bite you.
The sheer scope of what you're legally required to disclose now is just mind-blowing. We aren't just talking about, a leaky roof anymore. Under Assembly Bill 455, you have to affirmatively disclose toxic third-hand smoke embedded in the drywall. And no, painting over it doesn't let you off the hook. You also have to map out airport noise contours, and, this is a big one, the newly expanded coastal bluff setbacks, which are now pushed way back to 64 feet thanks to sea level rise models. Omit any of this, and you risk derailing your escrow entirely, right when you're at the finish line.
Now, moving on to day 2, here's a massive hidden trap that can completely ruin your month. Uninspected pre-1980s sewer laterals. These frequently result in buyers demanding anywhere from $8,000 to $25,000 in last-minute repair credits. Yikes, right? To prevent that kind of financial hemorrhaging mid-escrow, do yourself a massive favor and proactively order a $250 camera inspection of your sewer lateral right now. If a buyer is the one who discovers your old clay pipes have collapsed, you are basically handing all the negotiating leverage directly over to them.
And for all our condo sellers out there, Senate Bill 326 is going to be your biggest hurdle. You absolutely must obtain a compliant inspection report of your exterior elevated elements, think balconies and decks, from your HOA. Lenders like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are going to scrutinize these structural engineering inspections heavily before they even think about approving your buyer's loan. If your HOA hasn't done this, or if they found massive dry rot posing a safety threat, the buyer's financing simply vanishes into thin air.
Okay, Section 3, Days 3 and 4, Climate and Energy. Let's tackle the unique environmental mandates specific to San Diego's arid climate and renewable energy push.
Over these 2 days, our mission is to secure mandatory fire certifications on Day 3, and then untangle the complicated financial web of solar arrays on Day 4. The goal here is making sure buyers don't get totally spooked by any lingering liabilities.
Let's talk about Zone 0. Creating a compliant Zone 0 is completely non-negotiable if you want your future buyer to actually secure property insurance through the FAIR Plan, which is the state's insurer of last resort. Under Assembly Bill 3074, you literally have to strip the first 5 feet around your structure all the way down to the dirt.
That means ripping out wood mulch, digging up flammable plants, and replacing them with hardscaping like gravel or concrete. When those hot, wind-driven ember storms blow through, this 5-foot buffer is what actually saves the home. Then day 4 is all about solar, and man, this completely divides property values. Owned solar systems transfer seamlessly and actually boost your appraised value as real property. Fantastic. But lease systems or power purchase agreements, those are huge liabilities. If your system is leased, you might honestly need to buy it out before closing. Forcing a buyer to assume that lease requires credit checks, and it actively hurts their debt-to-income ratio, which can easily ruin their loan qualification. Before we grab our tool belts for the physical prep, we need to talk about the cost of time. Mathematically, waiting 3 months to list a $925,000 home might yield an extra $48,040 in theoretical appreciation, but in reality, you have to weigh that exact number against the growing leverage of cash buyers. They will absolutely exploit their fast closing advantages to demand steep discounts on properties that linger on the market. Efficiency is your best friend here. Act fast and get to market with a flawless product.
Which brings us to Section 4, Days 5 and 6, Physical Optimization. With all those dense regulatory hurdles finally cleared, we pivot to the tactical, physical preparation of the asset itself.
Day 5 is eco-friendly junk removal, and Day 6 is strategic handyman repairs. This is where we maximize the perceived square footage and aggressively neutralize any of those visible flaws that buyers love to use to demand a 1 to 3% price concession. You want buyers looking at the lifestyle potential of the home, not mentally compiling a list of weekend chores for themselves.
When you're clearing out the garage on Day 5, please remember this. You cannot just chuck your household hazardous waste into a dumpster. Local haulers will flat out refuse to take it, and improper disposal poses some pretty severe environmental risks to San Diego Bay. You have to play by the rules here. Systematically route your old latex paint to paint care drop-offs. Take the propane to the Miramar landfill. By appointment, don't just show up, and send those fluorescent bulbs to specific hazardous waste transfer facilities.
For Day 6, forget about doing unpermitted capital improvements. Just don't do it. Instead, deploy a local handyman to systematically eliminate those subtle signs of deferred maintenance. Tighten up the hardware so the doors don't squeak, patch up the drywall, neutralize the walls with warm white or a light gray paint, and definitely fix that salt-corroded coastal fencing. A sagging gate subconsciously signals to a buyer that the entire property has been neglected. Fix the small things so you can protect that big valuation.
And finally, Section 5. Day 7, Digital Compliance. We've reached the final countdown. Day 7 is all about that final polish and ensuring your digital footprint doesn't accidentally trigger fraud liabilities. First up is professional deep cleaning, followed by AB 723 compliant digital marketing. So, after local services come in to scrub away the coastal dust and pet odors, your property is finally ready for photography. But wait, the rules for online digital marketing have drastically changed in California.
This is where the law is finally catching up to AI technology. Under Assembly Bill 723, if you use AI virtual staging to, say, add furniture or change the wall colors, you absolutely must explicitly disclose it, and you have to post a link to the raw, unedited photos right alongside the staged ones. If you don't, you're exposing yourself to severe Department of Real Estate complaints and civil liability. Now, simple brightness adjustments and cropping, that's still perfectly fine. But the days of quietly erasing power lines or covering up drywall damage with Photoshop, yeah, those are officially over. Honesty is now digitally mandated.
So we have to ask, is your San Diego property truly market-ready? By rigorously following this precise 7-day preparation blueprint, you eliminate legal liabilities and perfectly position your asset for a premium valuation in 2026. The real estate market has evolved. It's a highly technical arena now, where preparation dictates power. The rules have completely changed, the environmental stakes are higher, and buyers are sharper than ever. So I'm going to leave you with this thought. If your property hit the market tomorrow, would it stand up as a flawless, fully compliant asset? Or would it just become another cautionary tale for a cash buyer to exploit?